So go to chapter 36 from multinational companies and FDI, foreign direct investment. So when we talk about multinational companies, we're talking about businesses that sell their products or services to foreign customers. And aside that, they have plants, they have factories, they have branches cut across the world. That's how we call them multinationals. And for foreign direct investment, it means a business that is having an investment in another country. That is having a business, you are having an investment in a foreign country. That is foreign direct investment. I think it's good. Yeah. So let's go down, please. Are you there? Yeah. Well, I heard this. One of the reasons, what are multinational companies? So one of the reasons why globalization has been successful in recent years is because the growing numbers of firms called multinational companies have developed significant business interests overseas. These firms are very large and powerful. They sell goods and services into global markets and have production plants and other operating facilities all over the world. So we call them multinationals because they sell into the global markets and they have factories, they have operational branches, facilities cut across the world. So they contribute about 10% to world GDP and about 2/3 to global exports. Examples include McDonald's, Toyota, British Petroleum, BP, Microsoft, and Coca-Cola. Some of the key features of MNCs are, so we'll go into characteristics of MNCs. So what are those things that we see in them, in those businesses that makes us to feel they are multinationals? The first one, huge assets. They have land, building, plants, machinery, and money in very big level. They have it so much. So they are extremely well resourced and can often afford to take on large-scale contracts and projects that many other firms could not cope with. So the first thing about multinationals is that they operate on a larger scale and they have accessibility to land, they have accessibility to equipment, they have accessibility to these things. So they have accessibility to all the factors of production, basically. Two, highly qualified and experienced professionals, executives, and managers. So they employ professionals, they employ specialists, they employ skillful managers because they have the ability to pay. They have the financial capability to pay. The third point, powerful advertising and marketing capability. They can invest huge amounts of money in impressive advertising campaigns to outcompete smaller rivals. So they spend so much on adverts too. They can spend huge money on advertisements to make it so impressive and eye-catching. Highly advanced and up-to-date technology. So MNC, they use sophisticated technology. They have the financial capability to get the latest technology. So this puts them ahead of other local businesses. Highly influential, both economically and politically. They can be very powerful and even influence government decision making. So they also influence government decisions of the countries they have because they have the resources that could convince government officials to say yes to them. You get the point? Very efficiently, they can exploit huge economies of scale because MNCs are so large, they have the ability to reduce their costs significantly. They can buy huge quantities of raw materials more cheaply. So they also exploit economies of scale because they operate on a larger scale. So this allows them to buy cheaper raw materials because they can buy in bulk. This allows them to have access to technological economies of scale. We talked about technology anyway. Yeah. So because they operate on a larger scale, so that gives them the opportunity to have a reduced average cost of production. I think that is clear. So examples of multinationals are Walmart, State Grid, China National Petroleum, Sinopec Group, Royal Dutch Shell, ExxonMobil, Volks, Toyota, Apple, British Petroleum. So these are different multinationals. They are more than that anyway. So what is foreign direct investment? I told you foreign direct investment. It implies that a business is trying to invest in a foreign country. That is what we call FDI. So here they said FDI or inward investment occurs when the company makes an investment in a foreign country. So this may involve the construction of a factory, distribution center, or store, or the development of a mine or tea plantation, for example, Another part of FDI is the purchase of shares in a foreign business. So we call it FDI also. If you as an investor or you as an entrepreneur, you are buying shares of maybe Apple. Do you understand? It's foreign direct investments too. You are buying shares of a foreign company. That's also another example of FDI. So reasons for the emergence of MNCs and FDI. Why is it now that FDIs and MNCs are coming into full force? One, economies of scale. Because there is because as multinational companies, you are able to operate on a larger scale. So one of the reasons why you want to become a multinational is to be able to exploit economies of scale. So because it's going to reduce significantly your average cost of production. And that means you'll be able to sell at a reduced price and make more revenue and even profit. So that's the first one, economies of scale. The second point, access to natural resources and cheap materials. MNC, they wouldn't just want to set up. British Petroleum would not come to Libya to set up in Libya if there's no natural resources that they need in Libya. So if British Petroleum is setting up in Libya, it means there's petrol here that British Petroleum will have access to at a cheaper rate, unlike having to import it from Britain from here to Britain.
Yeah.
So being here makes it cheaper for them to operate. That is what they are talking about here. So the natural resources are there. So multinationals, they set up in countries that have natural resources that they can, really work on. I think it's clear, right? Yeah. The third point, lower transport and communication costs. Developments in transport and communication have helped to drive the growth in MNCs and FDI activity. Transportation costs have come down and the speed with goods can be delivered has gone up. This makes distribution in overseas markets much more attractive. So here we're talking about the communication and ways in which goods and services are delivered these days. Yeah. Unlike those days that we have problems with communication and transportation. But with multinationals now, with the help of technology, delivery time is always faster than before, and communication is always prompt and effective these days. So this motivates multinational companies to want to set up even in far distances because they feel the hindrance like transportation and communication is no more a problem. So this encourages them to set up in other countries. I think it's clear.
Yeah.
Access to customers in different regions. So a lot of customers, they do imports. So if a business feels that, in different countries, they do import their products. So why can't we just set up in those countries? Yes. So that makes it easier for our customers to have access to our products. So when you have large customer base cut across different countries, so it is probably ideal to set up in such country. So this is how the emergence of multinationals come into place. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
Advantages of MNCs and FDI. So they said many countries are keen for foreign MNCs to develop business interests in their countries. Indeed, many governments actively seek FDI by offering tax breaks, subsidies, grants, and low interest loans. So many governments of countries, they try to encourage foreign direct investment by lowering their taxes, by giving subsidies, by grants. You understand? So that foreign investors would find it profitable for them to invest in such country. So one of the ways they do is to give tax breaks, like you don't pay tax for a certain period of time, just setting here. And two, lifting restrictions and relaxing regulations to make it easier for foreign firms to invest. We call it deregulation. So government comes up with deregulation, they soften laws that would discourage foreigners to set up in their country. They soften it. Investing in their own infrastructure. Yes, they have to invest in infrastructure because we're talking about good road network, we're talking about electricity, we're talking about communication also. So if government of countries, these days they try to ensure that their country is well equipped because it's only when it is well equipped that foreign investors would find it fascinating to want to invest. If the country doesn't have good road network, if the country doesn't have good communication, if the country is not politically stable, foreign investments will not come in. Multinationals will not want to send it. Even if they are there already, they would want to leave because these things are hindrance to their operations.
Yeah.
Do you get the point, please? So governments are prepared to do this because of the advantages of having foreign direct investment. What are those advantages? One, job creation. MNCs and foreign direct investment will bring about job opportunities in the countries that they have. So that means employment opportunity will increase in such a country, which is good for the economy because they are now the level of income will rise and they're going to have a better standard of living. So that's for job creation. Investment in infrastructure. So countries with poor infrastructure often struggle to attract FDI. If a country has inadequate road network, ports, railway network, bridges, we talked about that already. It's more difficult to do business in that country. So investment in infrastructure is also important because if a country is fully equipped, that allows multinationals to want to set up in such country. Developing skills. When multinationals, when they set up in a country, the local workers there, they train them, they expose them to the usage of technology, they expose them to trainings, and this encourages them to have, this makes them to have knowledge, skills about operations. So when multinationals set up, they educate the local workers, which is also another value for the country. Developing capital. The arrival of MNCs will help to boost the stock of capital in those countries. One reason is because when a business set up a new facility, such as a factory, it is likely to install up-to-date technology. For example, BMW, the giant German car producer, is currently building a new plant in Mexico. The new plant in San Luis Potosi will contain a body shop, a paint shop, and a full assembly operations. So BMW will be investing in an innovative production system and comprehensive sustainability standards. It has been reported that when it opens in 2019, the plant will be BMW's most resource-efficient plant in the world. For example, the plant will use renewable energy sources, which means that it is supplied with 100% carbon-free electricity. The plant will generate most of its own electricity using a solar system located on the factory site. So the arrival of MNCs might also encourage local suppliers and other businesses to invest in new capital projects. This will help them win orders to supply the MNCs, for example. So it's increased capital, developing capital. Here, when MNCs set up, they come up with different equipment, different machinery, which even the locals would not even have seen or used before. So as a result of that, even the local businesses or the local suppliers might be able to use those opportunities to know them and to even use them. So that's developing capital. And the last one here, contributing to taxes. When MNC set up, they pay government taxes, they pay corporation taxes, which is a source of government revenue. And as soon as they pay these taxes, government can use it for public financing, on education, on healthcare, even on infrastructure. So which is also good for the economy. So these are the advantages of multinationals setting up in a country. Now, what are the problems countries, customers, workers might encounter with multinational companies? Number one, unfortunately, there are some disadvantages associated with MNC's FDI. Some might argue that the benefits are exaggerated and the MNCs are only interested in maximum profit for their shareholders. As a result, MNCs locate operation overseas merely to exploit a nation's resources. However, some specific disadvantages include the following. One, tax avoidance, particularly by powerful MNCs, has attracted the attention of the world media in recent years. Also, political leaders, particularly in the US and EU, have accused MNCs such as Apple and Google of failing to pay their fair share. However, the MNCs have frequently responded to these accusations by saying that they paid their taxes and have done nothing wrong. So basically, what we're talking about tax avoidance is multinationals, they try to boycott taxes. They don't want to pay. And even if they are paying, they are not paying the fair share. Because most of the time, their books are not in the local. for country, their books is at the head office. So every documentation comes from the head office, which the tax officers in the country that the host country might not have access to. So this makes the host country's tax authorities feel they are not paying the exact amount they are supposed to pay for tax. The second point, environmental damage. When NNC set up, they emit carbon into the air. They cause pollution. They cause traffic congestion. They use up resources also. So no matter what it is, they take up the green space. That's the point. Yeah. Because when they are setting up a factory, they have to take up the green space to build their structure, to construct their buildings. So these are environmental damage. Moving profits abroad, they repatriate the profit. They don't keep profit here. They take the profits back to their head office, which the host country cannot account for. Yeah. Any questions about that? So we have questions. So the first question says, which of the following is the benefit of FDI? Yes, high employment level, yeah. The second question, which one of the following is an example of FDI? The takeover of parts suppliers in Japan by Nissan, the construction of a factory in Shanghai by US or MNCs, a large clothes manufacturer in Bangladesh selling clothes to a German retailer, a US $200 million investment by the government in the nation's infrastructure. Which one is a foreign direct investment?
Large clothes manufacturer in Bangladesh selling clothes to a German retailer.
Foreign direct investment? No. Investment.
Investment.
Yeah. D. ABC are multinationals. D is the only FDI we have there. Yeah. Is it clear? Any question, please? We're done with that chapter.